Section 19 of Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 2, Number 17, February 1921. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Alan Lawley. Captain Billy's Whiz Bang, Volume 2, Number 17, February 1921, by W. H. Fawcett. Jest, Jokes, and Jingles. If you can't laugh at the jokes of this age, laugh at the age of these jokes. He didn't write so very often. Mr. Eversharp of Lead, South Dakota, had the nerve to write that his most embarrassing moment happened when he asked a young lady clerk in a stationery store for some lead. "I'm glad I used a fountain pen. Isn't the X-ray wonderful? A Chicago Dispatch says, with the X-ray, it is now possible to have pictures taken of your diverticular of the sigmoid for the loved ones at home. A domestic disaster. Isn't it awful? My husband has run off with our cook. Terrible. And cooks are so scarce. No chance. There. What was I telling you? Figures never lie. No, they can't. Not with the dresses the girls are wearing nowadays. A major operation. What's the matter, old top? You look sick. I've just undergone a serious operation. Appendicitis? Worse than that. I had my allowance cut off. How often, oh how often, as drunk as the son of a gun, 2 moons rose over the city, where there should have been but one. Modern methods. Kindly gentleman to little girl. My, but your folks must take good care of you. Little girl. Well, they ought to. I've got enough of 'em. What do you mean, little girl? Well, mister, I've got 3 mammas by my first papa and 2 papas by my last mamma. Can that really be so? Yes, sir, and my last papa just told me that I had a little baby brother at home, and I'm going home now to tell mamma. She flaunts a skirt cut rather high and quite a length of hose. The city girl is never shy, however shy of clothes. Beware of a skunk, dead or alive. Men, take warning and never go fur shopping until you are entirely familiar with the vernacular of the fur store. Listen to my tale of woe. My wife requested that I buy a vermin fur piece for a Christmas present. Later, when I asked the pretty blonde fur clerk if she'd show me her vermin, she gave a look that made me feel like a spare tire on a decoutiered Tin Lizzie. Then I asked for some skunk, and she called the floor walker. I asked him if he had charge of the skunk, and he promptly asked me out of the store. But the fresh air felt so refreshing, and Mrs. Bill still wears her cloth coat of the vintage of pre-war prices. Our monthly motto: keep your feet on the ground and your mind on heaven. Especially in cold weather. The new housemaid was, in most respects, quite satisfying. But the mistress had observed that Bridget, in her dusting operations, always appeared to miss a beautiful model of Venus. "Bridget," cried the mistress at last, "why don't you dust this figure? See?" And she touched it with her fingers. She is quite covered with dust." "Be jabbers," replied Bridget. "I have been thinking for a long time, mem, that she should have been covered with something. A mirage is a marriage that never happens." Authenticated military message. 3 soldiers, an American, an Englishman, and an Irishman, from a trench watched a German airplane overhead. A piece of paper fluttered down and landed in a shell hole a few feet away. Thinking it might be of value, the American crawled out after it. It proved to be a crumpled bit torn from a piece of wrapping paper. Thinking to have some fun with his comrades, he returned and said, "It looks as though it has been of value all right, but I can't make it out." The Englishman said he would try, and after he had investigated, he took his cue from the American, and admitted that he also was unable to read it. "Faith," said the Irishman, "I'll bet I can dissect it." And he started for the shell hole. In a few minutes he was back. "Did you read it?" he was asked. "Sure, and I read it," he replied, "but all I could make out was that the Germans are badly frightened, and their entire rear guard has been wiped out." The Irish lad and Yiddish boy were engaged in verbal combat. First one would insist that his father or mother were better than the others. Then it was their pet bulldogs, and their teachers. Finally, the subject came down to respective churches. "I guess I know that Father Harity knows more than your rabbi," the little Irish boy insisted. "Sure he does. Why not?" replied the Jew boy. "You tell him everything." End of section 19.